Welcome to Enjoy Fort Wayne. This episode is brought to you by the Wailanai Farmers Market and highlights the 350 vendors that make up the #1 market in the state of Indiana.
Melissa Norby, Melissa's Damn Cards.
Okay, so I'm so excited to find out because it's just not, we talked a little bit before the show that it's not something that you see all the time. You know that. Right. So it's like, I'm just interested to find out a lot about that. So, but let's start with, are you from Fort Wayne originally?
I am not.
Okay.
I'm originally from the Muncie area. Okay. And I live in Northeast Indiana because it's my husband's home area.
Okay, cool. So when you coming up through school and stuff, did you think that you would be doing stuff like this? Or did you think that you were just work I say normal job. What is a normal job these days? But right. You know what I mean.
I did, and I had a normal job. I majored in newspaper journalism in college, and I've done writing throughout my whole professional career.
Really?
And that's a lot of what this is. The messages on the cards and everything is being clever in writing. So just kind of an extension of that career choice.
Okay, so coming out of you went to college then?
I did, yes.
And coming out of school, what did you do first?
First, I was a newspaper reporter that covered news and sports for newspapers in Indiana and then in Tennessee.
Really?
Yeah.
Was that fun?
Yes,
are you a sports?
That was the goal. Yeah,
okay.
I'm a sports person.
So
not athletically, but definitely a fan.
But so out of college, you got kind of your dream job?
I did.
I
I did.
So you didn't just ride off into the sunset?
I didn't. Newspapers kind of changed. The world kind of changed. I transitioned into another degree from college, and doing that, worked for some local government and started writing grants as a career. Again, still kind of journalism. You're telling a story and asking people for money.
Wow.
So that's what I do now. I write grants for nonprofits. Okay. And so writing has always been a part of my career path and something that I've always loved, and I'm able to write with kind of this business also.
When did you first notice that maybe your thing was writing? Like in second grade, did you win an award or something? Or how did that work?
Probably middle school. I was a big reader and liked to write, and it was something that I loved and was, good at.
You noticed that you were different than other...
I don't know that I noticed that I was different, but I noticed it was something that I really enjoyed doing and I wasn't that bad at.
So that's interesting that you're more basing it off of something that you enjoy and not I was really good at it. That's interesting that you say that.
And I think for me, writing's hard, but that's what's great about it. It's always a challenge to sit down and write, is it writing over a sporting event? Is it writing, to help an organization raise money for a project? Yeah. So,
no, I get that. With podcasting, I have a multitude of shows and crafting it and figuring out what questions to ask and telling a story. We're telling a story now, and it's not super easy, but hopefully when you watch this, it feels like, it was just a nice conversation. It was easy, but it's work to do that.
Yeah, it's a lot of prep work to do, and
sure.
So yeah.
Yeah, I totally get that. It's the same kind of avenue, just a different media.
Sure.
But that's awesome. So at what point were you because you still do the grant writing even now?
Yes, that's my full-time day job.
Okay.
Yes.
So how long have you been doing some of this entrepreneurial type things?
So for about 3 years.
Okay.
I'm pretty new.
So talk us through that story 3 years ago. I want to hear, I remember it was a Wednesday evening and I...
So I've always loved to send a card to my friends, to my family. There was never the right card at the store, at the CVS aisle that says what I want to say. There's the the watering can with the flowers, and there's, the dove soaring, across the forest.
It's never perfect.
It's never perfect, and it really is the thought that counts, but I kind of always wanted to take a step further.
Make it a real thought, not just what someone else said.
Make it a real thought. So, pandemic happened. We were all at home, and I thought, this is the time when I can see if this is viable. So I done, mocked up some things, tried some things, showed it to some friends and family, see how it went. And I was turned on to a class from the NIC, the Northeastern Indiana Innovation Center, and it was a women's entrepreneurial group. Oh. And I was advised that this could be a great way to see, is this business, is it a good idea? Will it work? Let's talk through it with some other entrepreneurs also.
Right.
And went through that class and decided let's give this a go for real.
So before you went to the class, you had an idea of what you kind of...
For years and years and years, it was nagging in my head always is there's a market out there for snarky, rude, say what you think kind of cards that aren't really in a mainstream card aisle.
Yeah. There's, the comedian Jim Gaffigan? Mm-hmm. He's from Indiana, actually. Yeah. Well, there's a bit, I don't know if you've seen it, and if not, now you definitely need to YouTube it, but where he talks about Valentine's Day is the where you just buy a card, and the guy's version of that is, here you go, you like what this other guy wrote?
That's exactly right.
And you're like, what? Like, buying a card is just so weird. Like,
it is.
So this is so cool what you do. I love it.
Well, thank you. But all the messaging, I've created all the cards with a person in mind or a situation in mind from my life, or that somebody else has said, I would love for you to make a card with this. So, you go to the card aisle and it's kind of a blanket, which message fits me the most. And with these, I've really tried to hit occasions or things in life that happen that there's not really that card for in the aisle.
Right. And what I love is it's truly not for everyone.
It's not for everyone. And that's I struggle with that at the beginning of how am I going to react to people who are like, because sometimes at the market, people will walk by and you can tell the look in their eye like this isn't for me. And that's okay. And it's, just please keep on trucking along to the next booth. So, yeah.
Totally. But I love that what I've learned, even with podcasting, the riches are in the niches. And there's another word that rhymes with that I won't say.
We can't say here.
But that's the phrase.
Right.
And so I hope that you are just getting rich because this is a niche,
For sure.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
So explain a little bit, basically. All right, guys, there's cuss words on it, right? Like
there are some cuss words. Yeah.
And you phrase it like there was something like, I really F word miss you. Right? Like that you don't see that.
You don't see that. No, and when you get
and
into
there are people that you feel that way about.
Right, and there's no other word for what you truly want to say. You just have
to use the F word sometimes.
Sometimes you need that bad word.
And not everyone does, and that's fine. You don't have to buy it.
And I have cards that don't have bad words on them, but still have a funny, snarky, kind of a different message.
What's one that comes?
So I've got one here. I brought one. Yeah. This is one of the more popular ones. Congrats on the new house. Hope it's not haunted. So a little funny, no bad words.
Makes you think like, oh, geez. Like,
yep.
Like I wasn't thinking that, and now I am.
Right, like now is my house haunted. So just something a little more fun
Love that
you can send. And I know we're not quite there yet. I'm going to go ahead and hop in. I use upcycled materials to make everything. So if it's in my recycling bin, I'm going to try to repurpose it into making the stationery. So all the card stock that the cards are on, I've gotten from scrap card stock from somewhere.
Very cool.
And I also hand type all the cards on my little manual typewriter.
No way. I thought that was just like...
Nope. They're all typed on my manual typewriter.
It's real. It's legit.
Real, yeah.
Wow, like old school,
people powered manual old typewriter.
No way. Okay, that adds to the the factor of.
So then you'll see when you come to my booth at the market, you'll see all the envelopes are made out of old maps. So and you get to
cool.
I have everything divided by state. So if you want to send a card to your Grammy in Maryland, you can go to the
river and through the woods.
You can go to the Maryland section and see if and find the map. So it's, once again, taking that next step to really personalizing what you're sending.
Yeah. So, I assume if someone comes looking for Montana and you happen to be out, can you?
It depends what I've got from the recycling bin. I also have a network of people, and I've been training my customers. Bring me your stuff so that it stays out of the trash. So I'm always asking for old maps, old brochures, old greeting cards, that kind of thing. So it's really, I just make kind of whatever I've got in the recycling bin or that people have brought me for the week, or that I've like I said, I've trained my friends and my family to save all their recycling for me, to bring it to me, and I try to make it into sort of my products.
Let me ask you this. Can we tell people now that if they have stuff at home, you want them to bring it to your booth then?
I do. I'm always looking for atlases and maps.
Okay.
Old greeting cards. Your food packaging. This is a new item I have. It's a postcard.
Mini muffins.
So you can send this as a postcard. So I've cut it out of the mini muffin box.
What?
Let's say your best friend loves a mini muffin. You can send them a little note on this postcard.
I love you as much as I love these muffins.
Yeah, or whatever you want to say. And so this is, I've saved this from the recycling bin.
Or this brown reminds me of poop, and that's what I think about you.
Or whatever. So, like I said, everything truly is curated from whatever's in my recycling bin and whatever my people bring me. So my deal is, if you bring me your stuff, let's make a deal for a free product. You can pick out a free card. So it just depends on how much you bring. And
oh my gosh.
So
how cool is that?
It's given everything another life. I don't have to buy materials to make my products. And it really truly is upcycling.
That is amazing. So remember, if you have just old cardstock, or when you buy your kids the mini muffins, or the granola bars, right. I feel like that would be a good stop. Like
that's a good one. This is something also. It's cereal box.
Okay.
And it's a file folder.
And you made it oh my gosh.
And so it's the same size as a file folder, but it's just been cut it right out of the cereal box.
So.
And the Sassy Vegan, who's also a vendor, I pick up their Sassy Trash once a week. Most of the cereal boxes come from them.
Very cool.
So partnering with another vendor has been a good experience.
How amazing is that? So yeah. I do want to ask you about the market. When 3 years ago, when this little bit came to fruition, walk me through the story of, now you had this great idea, you had some stuff going. At first, I would assume you kind of went to friends and family a little bit.
Went to friends and family, but the entrepreneurial group that I was in through the NIC, one of the people in my class was also a vendor at the market. And she suggested, check it out and see if this is for you. And the hesitation was, I've got some interesting words.
Sure.
Will they take me? And so it was a chance that I took. I applied. I got accepted. And being at the market has been just fantastic for the business.
Why?
The other vendor community, you're by neighbors. So you're usually by the same vendors every week. And they're very kind about helping you set up your tent. How did they make their business cards? How are they promoting things? Everybody's so good about promoting one another. Mm-hmm. And it's really been this really supportive community that I didn't know that I needed.
Sure.
So it's just been wonderful. The shoppers have been great. It's being a part of the market has really got all this started for me.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. We love hearing that. That is so cool. What advice would you give to someone who was you 3 years ago and waited, and like they wanted to kind of dip their toe and they weren't quite sure, mm-hmm. and they came to you and asked, what should I do?
Take a class. Take a formal class and really learn how to start a business and go through all the right thought processes to make sure that you're coming out as strong as you can. The next thing is just try it. You're going to mess up. Things are going to go wrong, but it's going to be fine. You're going to learn. And just don't be afraid. And I have to remind myself a lot to not be afraid and just try and do and just see what happens.
You have to take your own advice sometimes.
I do have to take my own advice sometimes.
Well, hopefully this is a good reminder for you today.
Yes, it is.
Great. Yeah, I do like that at some point, a lot of people, as I do this show, you talk to so many cool people with stories, mm-hmm. and the one central thing, if you listen to all these shows, you guys say the same thing, and it's such a great reminder. And that is, at some point, you just have to do it.
Right.
Not one person so far has said, well, you have to make sure that you get 93 ducks in a row first. Like, it doesn't work that way.
No.
You're never going to get to that point, right?
Right. You're never going to be ready if you do that. So you just have to go.
Yeah.
And then just work through it along the way.
Yeah. It's a good reminder for us to know that everyone goes through the same, whether you're an entrepreneur or not.
Yes.
That everyone goes through that you're never going to be fully ready for the thing that whatever's going on.
Right.
You just have to do it and understand. You got to forgive yourself on some of the stuff that you got to
jump off the cliff and go and
build
learn
the
as
parachute
you go.
as you go.
Yes.
That's afraid that someone has said that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. I love that. Let's talk through the city of Fort Wayne. I know you're not from here. How long have you, and do you legit live in Fort Wayne?
I do not, but I live in Northeast Indiana.
Okay.
Yep.
So, coming to the market now for some time. I mean, you've seen the city, the Bar Street Market. What positive things do you think are happening around Fort Wayne now?
I think the continuation of the art scene growing, and whatever art means to you, it seems like it's growing here. And people really seem to take stock in shopping local.
It means something.
It means something, and I think that's been reinforced to me as a vendor. As I'm at the store. Could I have bought this from a local vendor at the market? Could I have bought this from one of my vendor neighbors? And seeing that there's just tons of people every week. There could be bad weather. It could be super sweaty out there. I mean, the people are loyal to being at the market, and what a wonderful thing that all 100 plus of us vendors have access to.
I love that. Ashley, who's in charge of the market,
Right.
She's great. She says all the time, sometimes when it rains, it's actually busier. Because you get the people who are legit want to, actually shop local and get the stuff from their vendors. Their 4 or 5 vendors that they go to every.
They're there for their milk and their tomatoes
Right.
and whatever, their bagels.
Yeah, whatever they're doing.
It is, that's their weekly routine.
Right. I love that. I know you're not in Fort Wayne, but is there anything that you would say, we're going the flip side now, anything that if we're not careful, we know something to watch out for, or problem areas or things in your opinion?
It's a tough one since I'm not here.
That's fair.
It's hard for me to say as someone who doesn't live here, and I don't know that it's appropriate for me to make that comment.
That's fair. Anything that you would like to see maybe us either continue to do or improve upon, as you're a vendor in this city and coming through? Anything,
the location we're at, I think the consistency with that outdoor location is important. People know where to be every Saturday, and that's a great thing. I think that's a wonderful thing. And again, I think just continuing to encourage, the vendors to be a part of that vendor community. And if there's any new vendors coming in, is there a way to, share guidance or share tips with them to make sure that they have a successful market?
What would you say to a new vendor right now?
Bring a tent. It's going to be windy. So be prepared for that. Be ready to talk to your customers and just be ready to welcome them and greet them and understand what it is that they're looking for. Make sure people know what you're selling, what your business is, and have really good signage. I mean, kind of throw it out there of who you are and what you're doing.
In the coming weeks, I'm going to have Zach, the bread guy.
Yes, the bread guy.
And I reference him because when you say that, I notice that people will be even 8 feet away, approaching his area, but not quite there yet. And he will actively be talking to them. And then at about, our market is till 1 p.m.
Right.
Everyone knows that.
Mm-hmm.
At about 12:15, you know where I see him? wandering around. You know why? He sold out.
And he takes a lap before the market stops, and it's every week, and he stops and says hello to every single person. It just gives you that warm and fuzzy that it's gonna be a good day. We're all here. We're all in this together, and seeing that familiar face, it makes a difference every week. It's nice he's gonna walk by, and it's gonna be a good day.
Right. Like I said, he's on the docket here for a few more weeks, but I'm definitely gonna ask him about that, and that's one that you'll have to watch then too.
I will,
sure.
yes.
But yeah, it just his name just was top of mind when you said that, because there are, and he's not the only vendor that's good at that, but you see those, and those are the ones that are sold out before one, and because they're actively doing that, know. So that's great advice and it's hard to kind of come out of your shell maybe that very first time, because you're a little bit nervous, like, do I belong here? But you got to fight through that, right?
And you don't know anybody, and a lot of your vendor neighbors are your buddies. They're gonna have, if you need duct tape, and they're gonna be able to help what you've forgot or you're missing for the day. So make friends with your neighbors. We're all pretty nice.
Yes, I will agree with that. So okay, are you ready for the last question?
Yes.
So have you seen? Do you know what's coming? Have you seen the very, very end, the last question, or no?
I guess not. I'm busted, aren't I?
No. I prefer that. I mean, no one watches the entire. I mean, they'll watch yours, of course. See how I caught myself?
That's what you tell everybody.
Yeah. So no, the very last question is always the same, but I prefer that you not know it.
Okay.
Now the cat's out of the bag. People can just go watch the last.
Right.
But so the question is, if you were commissioned by the mayor to write a phrase through those planes that write in the sky, or the Fred Grody guy who has like the sign going. Yeah. Everyone knows that.
Everybody knows that.
Right. Or like a sign that was on our tallest building, and everyone in Northeast Indiana could read it. Mm-hmm. What would you say if you were hired to put a message out there? What would it say?
Shopping local saves communities.
Wow.
And I didn't even add a bad word.
Well, what I love, so I always love asking this, and when they don't know, because there's always a pause, which I always leave in. I never edit that out. I love it, right? I love it, right? And then, like, it's impossible to not be genuine in that moment, right? When you're thinking through that. And you being a writer, I was really curious. And that is so, like, there's not many things that are that profound that are that quick and not many words. But good Lord, that was like one of the most profound ones. Good. I love that.
And I think it's true. I mean,
it is, yeah.
Think about all the money people are spending on Saturday mornings at the market.
It's unreal.
At my booth, at my neighbor's booth, times 120.
Right.
I mean, people really are shopping local in Fort Wayne, and you see that. And when we shop local, I truly believe we are helping communities thrive.
Yeah, that's just a perfect way to say that. That is really cool. So I want to recap, because this is the first show that we've done where we're actively asking someone to do something, and I love it. So remember, if you have even, I think that's so cool, like cereal boxes, pretty much any cereal box would work, right?
Any cereal box would work.
So newspaper clippings, I see.
Yep, when you come and shop with me, I put your purchase in a bag. And these are from newspapers from my Grammy.
So great. So all of that stuff that you think of, just do not throw it away, guys. Bring it in and bring it to Melissa, and then we'll work out a deal. I want my cut, though, too.
Deal.
No, I'm kidding. So, but that's really cool. This is the first time that we've actually asked people, to do something. And I really didn't know that either. So that's so cool.
If you've got weird things in your trash, and an example of that is I had somebody bring me shoe boxes full of vintage postcards from an estate sale. They were going to go in the trash. They saw them, thought of me, and brought them to me. So if you have something strange like that you want to keep out of the trash, let me know. If I don't find a use for it, a lot of times what I do is I pass it along to the art pantry, the Fort Wayne art pantry.
Okay.
And so that they can give and take from that, and so that it does get used. So if I can't use it, I'll recycle it, or I'll pass it on to an organization or a teacher's classroom where it will get used.
Sure. Okay. Awesome. The links will be in the show notes, but also go ahead and tell us where we can find you, email, social media, whatever.
Sure. I have a website. It's melissasdamncards.com. I'm also on Instagram at melissasdamncards.com. And my email is just melissasdamncards@yahoo.com.
Okay, awesome.
Yep.
Well, thanks for being on the show. This was awesome.
Well, thank you for having me. It was great.
Yep. Okay. This podcast is brought to you by Coraggio Media. The show is edited by me and sponsored by the Wailanai Farmers Market. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram for all the latest updates. We will see you next week, where we will be sure to show you how you can enjoy Fort Wayne.